Welcome to Stellaris for Beginners. My name's ASpec, and today we'll be going to go over some of the fundamentals and basics of Stellaris. It is quite a daunting game, which is why we're going to be learning by doing. You see all of this stuff on screen. We're going to be ignoring most of this until we get to any sort of subject where these things are relevant. So without further ado, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about first, and that is that I've disabled every single DLC for this game. This is a purely vanilla experience. If that is not what you're looking for, then there's other videos out there. But if you're brand new and you want to learn something, this would be a good place to start. Let's get going, shall we? As you can see at the start of the game, we will be immediately presented with this particular screen. It is an overview of our empire, what kind of empire we are, what type of government we have, what sort of ethics we have, what it makes us tick, and where do we come from. There's also our species and what we are good at, and a flag with all the fun and games, and of course, our ruler. That's already quite a lot, and most of this stuff at this moment in time doesn't really matter. Let's begin, shall we? You'll be seeing quite a lot of those screens throughout the game, as a lot of the content is driven through stuff like that. But we are at the start of the game, which means that we need to do a couple of important things right away. We know that we have our capital down here, and we're not even going to click on that right away because it is not even that important right now, anyway. So what is important is our technology, and that is immediately being presented at the top of the screen here. We got physics, society, and engineering. So let's open this up and you will be presented with this particular screen. And as you can see, we don't have a scientist here. We will deal with that shortly. But first of all, we will need to get a couple of things rolling, and that is specifically science. As you can see, there's these numbers are over these science items at the moment. Considering none of this science is quite good, it's usually a good idea to go for some of the cheaper stuff. And so in this particular case, 0G laboratories. Secondly, there's another one over here. We can get some unity here. That's one of the resources that allows us to go through traditions, but we will get to that when we get there. But in the meantime, going for eco simulation to get more food within our empire is a good way to go. Finally, there is engineering, and planetary build speed is actually quite good in this particular context. In general, I would have preferred some science boost, but that is fine. If you ever see anything science related, just go and get that. It's usually quite good. If not, economy, and of course, in a pinch, warfare is quite good as well. With that in mind, we can exit this screen, and there is another thing over here. There is an open council position. We can click on this, and we will immediately go to the council screen. As you can see, there is our leader that we saw at the start of the game and all of his abilities and traits. But what is most important right now is that we currently do not have a head of research. And yeah, we will need to hire a leader here. As you can see, there is one available, and there they are. And they've got a little tick box, so we will click on them and they will now become available. Same thing with the Minister of State. We will do the same thing there, and they are now assigned. They all have their own special abilities and traits. For instance, this one over here is a blabbermouth, which means that they will get more intelligence on other empires, because that is a thing. We can now close this particular window, but if we ever want to go back here, we can just go and click on the council button, the government button over here, and come back to it. Or we just hit F2 on our keyboards and go back and forth. With that in mind, we've got our government set up, we've got our science set up. Do we go to the capital world now? No, because we got some more important stuff to do. On our keyboards or down here, we can hit the M button or click the galaxy map, and we are on the galaxy map. With our mouse, we can just go around and see what's going on in the galaxy. It's a nice galaxy. It's a bit of a cluster going on here, but in general, you know, everything seems to be quite interesting. And because everything looks quite interesting, it means that it's ripe for exploration. One of the pillars of Stellaris is the exploration aspect. There's the empire building, there's the warfare, but the exploration is really, really important to the experience because that's where most of the story comes from. Yes, we will grow as an empire through exploration. In order to do so, we need to go to the right side of the screen here and look at the civilian ships tab, and specifically the science ship that's listed here in the orange. If we click on it, we will select our science ship, and automatically there's that leader that we put in on the council earlier, and basically all the stuff that we can do with our science ship. Now, what we could do here is basically say, hey, a science ship that we have selected, right click on a star system and basically say, hey, I would like you to survey this system. That would be a really good thing to do. However, instead what we're going to do, we are going to hit the shift key and hold it on our keyboards and click on the survey button, and then basically click on this one over here, which is a planet that a star system that has a planet in it, as well as over here with another star system that has a planet in it. That means that we will now prioritize those two systems for surveying and see what's going on here. Later on, we can set all the automation stuff. We will get there when we get there. But first, we need to prioritize these two systems because they have planets in them, which means that we can expand into it. And we hit the spacebar, and they will start doing their own thing. Spacebar, of course, unpauses the game because this is a turn-based game, technically, but it's pausable real time, if that makes any sort of sense. Spacebar will basically start the simulation in this particular case, and our science ship will start moving to the various systems. If we right click on them, we will be able to go towards them, and that's where our ship is. But yeah, in the meantime, let's hit that spacebar again and pause the game, because our science ship will be on its way, but we got more stuff to do. And that's specifically going to, you guessed it, our capital. Welcome to our capital. This is our home world, and basically it's where all of our people are and where all of our stuff is. And this could sound a little bit complicated, but it really is not nearly as complicated as it may sound, and that is the economy of Stellaris. Now, the economy within Stellaris is separated within districts and buildings. Now, it basically boils down to that buildings is where specialists work, and districts is where workers work. Workers would really like to become specialists. So let's say that you have 10 workers in, say, a mining district making minerals, and you build a building that requires 7 workers. It means that 7 workers from the mining district or any of the other ones will move over to that building in the as a specialist. That means that we now will have less workers working on mining, which means that we will have a reduced amount of minerals coming in, and instead we will have something else. It basically boils down to that we always want to make sure that we have these districts full of people working, and make sure that this particular number, the jobs over here, is always at 0 or as close to 0 as possible. There are exceptions to this rule, but that doesn't really apply to this game, and it goes into complicated stuff that we can go into later. But in the meantime, what we know at the moment is that we have no jobs available and that we need to start building districts if we can. Now, how do we do this? Well, first of all, we need to figure out what we actually need. At the top of the game, we have this bar where we basically see all the stuff that is important to us, all the resources. We got energy, we're producing currently 57 of those. Minerals, we're currently producing 32. Food, 74. Consumer goods, 3. And alloys, 14. Now, these 3, energy, minerals, and food, are basic resources. Then we got intermediates, and we also have some advanced ones, but those are not relevant at this moment in time. What we understand, however, is that we do not have enough consumer goods, or we will be running out of consumer goods if we don't do anything about this. So what we can do here is we can try to build a industrial district. The problem is that an industrial district will cost us 425 minerals. We currently cannot afford that because we are lacking minerals. So we'll have to wait for that until that ticks up. So whenever the clock goes over, like it did just now, we will get a boost of resources on that particular month. So a month is 30 days, or at least whenever a month rolls over, we will get this plus number added to our pool. The pool is global. We don't need to have any logistics, and stuff is not being moved around or anything. But as you can see, the month will be moving over shortly. And as you can see, it's currently sitting at 27, and it will now tick up. This counts for every single resource within our pool. The problem is right now is that we currently don't have any jobs available, and we need more districts because otherwise the population is become a problem. As you can see here in the population, this is the specialists and the workers that I was talking about earlier, and those workers desperately want to become specialists. One thing that's also important, it may be super attractive to just build as many districts as possible. Don't do that. Always build only as many buildings and districts as you have population need for. You only want to have one of them open at any moment in time, or build one, because if you have too many jobs over, you can run into problems. In the meantime, though, it looks like our assigned ship is out there. He's scanning all of these planets, and he's looking for stuff. I've just unpaused the game, of course, and they are going to be going towards this particular planet. That's a continental world, and the real question for us is, do we actually want a continental world? Well, yes, because our species is interested in continental worlds. How do we know this? Well, if we go to the species tab over here, or we hit F6, we can see that we've got this little icon here, and it means that we've got a continental world preference. Any sort of pops, aliens basically, our population, will do extremely well on these types of worlds. Basically, it means that we will have a very good production on these particular planets. Essentially, if a species lives on a planet that they like, they will be happier, they will not revolt as easy, and also they will produce more resources. But as you can see right now, here we go. They will be going and scanning this planet, and we have found some alien life. This is those events that I was talking about. This will pop out throughout the game, but most importantly, we've got this planet scanned, and now we can see that yes, this planet is a good candidate for us to colonize. So how are we going to actually do this? How are we going to colonize this? Because right now we do not have the opportunity to colonize this place because we do not have enough. It's not within our borders, and that's problematic. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the other ship in the civilian pile and actually move that ship over here because we want to be able to colonize this place as soon as possible. So how are we going to deal with this? Well, we're just going to let our stuff... again, Stellaris, there's a lot of stuff going on at all times. Basically, we're just going to wait for our assigned ship to finish exploring this system. And as soon as that is done, we're going to build an outpost in here. But in the meantime, we got some first contact protocols. It's always good to be cautious because we don't want to, we want to be safe. But most importantly, this thing has popped up over here. It's called traditions. Any sort of important thing in the game will pop up on the top of the screen. So whilst all of our ships are doing their own thing, we're just going to go ahead and pause and go for traditions. Traditions are our cultural abilities, or basically what we're leaning into culturally. Basically what we want to shape ourselves as a species and as an empire. And we've just unlocked a tree. Now we have a bunch of abilities here that we can do, and in general we could go for domination if we want to, be basically 1984. We can be mercantile if we want to do trading. If we want to do combat, we can go down the supremacy route. If we want to be a prosperous internal empire, prosperity is quite good. Or if we want to expand very quickly, we can go down expansion. However, what is really important for us is discovery. I personally think that discovery is probably one of the most important things within the game because there's, we want to be able to explore the universe as fast as possible, which is why we're going to be adopting discovery. Now, as soon as we adopt it, we will get an adoption effect. We will get an edict called Map the Stars, and also we will be researching anomalies faster. If we get all of these things unlocked through these sort of stages, then we also get a finisher effect, which is a whole different kettle of fish, but we'll get there once we get there. But in the meantime, let's adopt this and go and have this selected. We'll be able to get another slot in 13 months, and that's basically it. However, you saw that we unlocked an edict. If we go back to the government screen and we go to edicts at the bottom right here, we will get this particular screen, and we want to select Map the Stars. Map the Stars will allow us to get more anomalies. With a bit of luck, we will be able to get that, but also additional survey speed, which means that we will explore the universe faster. This will go from a pool called an edict fund. You don't need to worry about that too much. Just make sure that this number is smaller than that number. That's the only thing you need to know at this moment in time. Anyway, let's unpause the game, and immediately our science ships will explore faster than they ever have done before. We're going to just hit the plus button here to make sure the game is running as fast as possible. This is basically based around how fast your computer can handle the game. Found. And this is where the first anomaly is. Very nice. So we found ourselves an anomaly. And the question is, do we want to do something with this at this moment in time? Basically, we found something on this planet down here. And the question is, hey, do we want to do anything more with this particular place? Normally, I would say yes. However, considering there is a planet in this system we will want to leave it for now, and I will tell you exactly why. If we would say research this place, the science ship will stop doing all of the things that it's doing, and we will never explore this system until it's done. So we won't be able to expand. If we would go ahead and research that place,
ready. System
basically, we would never be able to expand as quickly. So it would be a bottleneck. So we want to avoid that. So the system has been fully surveyed, and the science ship will move on towards the next system, which is this tropical one over here. But with that in mind, we can go ahead and click on our construction ship, either in space or through the outliner. Right-click on the star and build Starbase Outpost. We need to use a bunch of influence and alloys for that. Alloys we already talked about. It's that resource that basically we are generating. But more importantly, influence is a resource that we can generate through things like factions and our standing within the galaxy. But we will get to that when we get there. In the meantime, though, we can go ahead and build an outpost. We can also go on M and go to the galaxy map, right-click here, and build a starbase over there. That also works. So now this place will now build a starbase, and we will get ready to do our thing. So once the starbase is up and running, we will immediately claim the system. As you see, the border has expanded. It all looks very nice and fresh. But more importantly, we can now colonize this world. Or can we? No, we can't. Because we don't have enough consumer goods. Because we never built that particular industrial district. And now we have an additional pop who's unemployed. That's causing problems. We do, however, finally have enough resources here to build that industrial district that we were talking about. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And that will be up and running in about a year's time. And then we will have a job available for this worker to get into. But in the meantime, though, we do not have enough consumer goods, which means that we cannot colonize, which means that we've bottlenecked ourselves. That's a problem, which is why we have an internal market. Remember those items we had on the top of the screen before? We can click on those, and that will bring up the market screen. This is our internal market, and basically we can go ahead and buy resources here. Because we only need 10 consumer goods, we can go ahead and just buy 50. That's the minimal amount that we can do, and it will cost us 130 energy. We currently have 1600 energy in the pool, and we can just go ahead and buy that. And there you go. We now have enough consumer goods. You can buy anything from the market with energy. You can also sell it if you want to swap materials over. Let's say I want to get some more consumer goods. That's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and sell 500 food for 325 energy, and then I can just buy some more consumer goods if I want to. Of course, this is a dynamic system, so the more you sell, the less value it will have. So keep that in mind for the future. Anyway, we're going to go close this, and we're just going to go ahead and colonize this system. Basically, what we can do here, we can click on this ship. We are going to give it a cool name. Yeah, let's give it a cool name and press OK. And now our shipyard, which was that station in our capital system, is going to build a colony ship. If we go to the shipyard tab over here, we will see that a colony ship will be done in 1 year's time. That's all good. That's all good stuff, because now we have a colony ready to go. We're 2 years into the game. It will be setting up very soon, but in general, the flow of everything seems to be quite nice. So where do we go from here? Well, there's a pop-up that happened, and that is council agendas. Now, council agendas is basically stuff that our government is working on. Like, what kind of laws should we have within our nation? What sort of things should we do? How are we going to manage our military, for instance? In this particular case, we have infinite opportunities, which will increase pop citizen happiness by 10%. If we launch it because it's ready, it will increase to 10%. Happiness is really important within the game, because the happier your pops, the more they will produce. Of course, we can set up another agenda. We are going to go ahead and let's go for evolving society, so we can get more unity and basically grow our traditions again, because in 2 months we'll be able to get another tick. But if we get that unity boost, we can maybe even get it faster. You also may have noticed that there is a thing going on here on the outliner. Again, there's a pop unemployed, but there's also a clearable blocker. What does that mean? Well, a clearable blocker is listed under the features tab within the game. A clearable blocker will basically allow us to get a bunch of things. So we got 2 industrial wastelands that are blocking districts. Now, district slot is basically how many of these ones we can build. So if we remove these, we will be able to build more districts, up to a maximum of 19. However, what is more important, if you're a standard empire at the start of the game, you have a sprawling slum. If you destroy this, you will get an extra pop who can go to work for your empire. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But that means that we will have 2 pops very soon without a job, which is a problem. And it looks like that we will have another pop in 30 months. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to have this industrial district set up. Then we're going to get that sprawling slum. We will immediately hit the 0 pops in there. So we're going to need to rectify that immediately. So instead, what we're going to be doing is we're going to build a city district. Why a city district? Because city districts allow us to unlock more building slots. If you unlock more city districts, you will get more building slots, which means that you can get some of the more advanced buildings where those specialists work that all the normal workers want to go. But that's for later. We just queue all this stuff up so that we can deal with that in a couple of years' time. In the meantime, we got some more stuff going on. There's some more surveying to be done. And the galaxy is a vast, large place. There's so much stuff going on. How should we deal with this? Well, I think it's time for us to build another science ship. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to click on our shipyard over here. And on our shipyard, we're going to select a science ship. That will now be queued up. We will deal with this later. Habitable worlds always go for commendable initiative. We'll get a lot of resources out of this. But as you can see,
situation log updated.
I did mention that Stellaris can be a bit of a handful. By the way, this is a hand, not a spaceship. You will never see the spaceship again. This is a precursor stuff. Basically, it will send us on a wild goose chase throughout the galaxy. And it's basically a thin red line to keep us going and keep the story moving. But back to the shipyard. A science ship will be built as soon as this colony ship is done. If you want to optimize things a little bit, you can build the colony ship earlier and just move it over towards the star system and just play around with that and see where it goes. But we're just going to keep on going and have the game unpaused and wait for our colony ship to be done and come off the production line. Because it will be done very, very quickly here. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Colony ship is now up and running, and it will appear in the civilian ship tab. Where it is over here. There you go. There's our colony ship, which will now start heading over towards towards this planet that we just saw.
Situation log updated.
And it will start
Locker cleared.
Colony. There it is. Our first colony. Well done, everybody. Cool name is up and running. Very cool stuff. But in the meantime, whilst that is going, because it will take a little bit of time for us to colonize this place, it will be up and running in 3 years' time, we have another science ship that we need to deal with. So this science ship is up and running, and considering our initial science ship is already doing things, we should have another one, because like I said, the galaxy is vast, and we need more science ships. Anyway, as you can see, we do not have a captain or a scientist on this particular ship. So we're going to go ahead and click on this portrait and then recruit a leader because none of the other leaders are available. So we're going to select a scientist, put them on there. We will spend some of our unity and basically go ahead and get a leader up and running. Now, this is where things can get very interesting. You can choose to do the same thing as before and survey all of these systems, etc. Just doing like this and then shift select and do all that stuff. And if you suddenly realize that you want to do something else over here, like for instance, I don't know, do this special event, you can also hit shift control at the same time or right click on a system and then survey, and that will then put that thing all the way to the top. So control shift select is kind of a cool thing. But what we could also do is click this button, the science ship automation. If you don't want to deal with this and basically have to click every single system within the game, you can just go ahead and click on the automation button and just go to explore systems and survey systems, because all that stuff is pre-selected, and just start, and it will do it automatically for you. As long as you got a scientist in your ship, they will be exploring the galaxy until the end of time, as long as they, of course, can get to places. Meantime, we got another tradition slot that we can fill up. We can go ahead and do another tradition if you want to. I wouldn't do it at this moment in time. We can also go to one of the sub goals here. To boldly go is very nice because survey speed is always good, and the galaxy is now up and running. All the basics seem to be in place. We got our first colony up and running, which is really, really nice. Our capital is doing its own thing. As you can see, as predicted, we currently have no jobs available, which is why we have this city district that is going to come in and unlock another slot. Also, they will create some pop jobs, which is really, really nice. However, at this moment in time, it may be wise to take a look at some of the stuff when it comes to buildings. So buildings will be generating some of the more important stuff within the game, whether or not it's those consumer goods or whether or not it's those alloys, these buildings that boost that more sort of thing. But what is more important is science. We're going to build a science lab, and two of the workers will automatically be moving over towards that science lab as soon as it's built. But that's fine because those jobs will be available, and once those jobs are being filled up, we'll just basically settle that stuff going. But yeah, a bunch of workers will automatically be moving towards these labs. Where can we see this? In the population tab, of course. As you can see, we got all of these workers down here.
Complete.
Let's just do some research here. Tile blockers is always nice. But as you can see, it is done. As you can see on this tab, all of a sudden, a bunch of our workers are no longer working as clerks. They've immediately filled up those science slots as they become available. Now, those clerks are no longer producing, which is a problem because now we will be producing less amenities or less trade value, depending on what those particular jobs do. If you want to say that, hey, we want to be able to, have these jobs filled, we can go to any of the other jobs and just hit the minus button. In this particular case, we are producing all the food in the world. So we can just go ahead and do a minus, and automatically one of those jobs will be filled up. So that's really nice. So we can get that going. Again, another tradition is up and running. We can go for data link uplink, and everything's moving. And it looks like everything is just up and running just nicely. We got another colony, our very first one even, and now is the question, now we need to ask ourselves, what is this world going to be? What are the people of this planet going to do? We've got a lot of food being produced already somewhere, and we have a lot of food districts available. Every single district layout is different for every single planet. So in this particular case, this could be a great energy world or a great food world. Do we need a food world or do we need an energy world? Well, we have a lot of food already, so that's not really a problem. Energy we can always use more of because we can convert energy to basically anything, which is great. So we're going to build a energy district here. And as soon as that is done, basically we will have more jobs available for this particular district. So because of this being now a energy world, we can also designate it as such by clicking on this button. Scroll down the list, a generator world, and now this particular planet will have a faster building speed of generator districts, and also any sort of jobs that generate energy will be generating more. We can do that for every single world in the game, whether or not it's energy or minerals or food or other different types of output. All of that stuff is available. Now we have this other system is now being surveyed, which is great. We can go in there, claim it for ourselves, and get another place up and running, because that's really important. We want to make sure that we have as many systems as possible. Let's see whether or not we can get this.
Construction
and
complete.
There it is. First contact. We've made first contact with a stagnant ascendancy, which is a fallen empire. We will want to be their friends as much as possible, because they are fallen empires and we won't be able to interact with them too much. And basically they just sit there. They are the pirates who do nothing. We will have a proper first contact with other space aliens, but in the meantime, we basically know that there's aliens out there. Now it's time to talk about the second part of the game's economy. Now, we've already talked about the economy on planets, right? Like how workers and specialists and all that stuff works. There's also the space economy. Now, we can go into what's this system. As you can see, there are all of these planets and stars and asteroid fields. As you can see, some of these places are generating resources. We got energy credits, right? We're currently generating 53 of them. If we add 4 more to that, we can get some more stuff. The question is it worth your while to do this? Because one energy is basically worth 1 mineral, right? If you go to the market, we can basically say, okay, it's a little bit different in this case, like a 1.7 or something along those lines. But how long would we need to spend time and spend resources in order to get value out of this? We can basically go ahead and just say build mining station here. And we would get value out of this pretty quickly because we spent 100 minerals to get 4 energy a month. Basically, this is how you could be thinking in this particular case. Like we can get the return of investment on this one, where we only get 2 a month, is a lot longer. When we have places like this system over here, where we got a 6 minerals being generated on this particular place, on this gas giant, that is a great one to have. What you usually don't want to do is get minerals and energy from places that only produce 1 or 2 resources. Science in general is also quite nice because science is always nice to have, but in general, always go for the big ticket items first when it comes to your space economy. And then with everything in mind, everything just keeps on trucking, and we got some science to do here. So science, always good to have science, and some more output on our space economy is always good. And from here onwards, you can keep on going, exploring the universe, setting up more surveying into places to other planets and other star systems with all of the bells and whistles that come with that, and learn the game slowly but steadily by doing, but most importantly, by having fun. Today, we've talked about the foundations, the basics, some of the elements within the game, like the food and the general resources, as well as the advanced resources, the basics of the economy, whether or not it's in space or in the planets themselves. How does exploration work? How does building work? And it's a lot to take in. I totally understand that. But by playing and doing, we can learn all these things step by step. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and if you want to, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we can go and continue this game and slowly but steadily expand over the stars, and basically just look at what's going on out there and learning by doing and slowly going through every single system. Maybe we'll get warfare next time, and maybe we will get politics with other empires. Who knows? We haven't even looked at our weapons yet. Maybe something for next time. But I hope to see you there. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.